Thank you. I'm blessed and highly favored, and thank you for having me. Um, I'm just going to get right into it. I'm not going to pull no punches. I'm not going to waste any time. I'm not supposed to be here, and I'm just going to set it at that. I'm not supposed to be here. I grew up during a time whereas black and white wasn't too well merging together. I was chased home. I was bullied, um, and it kept coming back to me. Um, it happened all the way up until my senior year of high school. And how that happened was after my junior year, I went into the Army. And I went into the Army for basic training. And just those 3 months of basic training gave me some confidence when I to came back here to start my reserve training and everything. I went back to school to go get my high school diploma. Again, guys felt that they could bully me, but this time I had confidence. I got that from the military. They gave me confidence. They gave me determination, and they gave me a job to succeed. So what I did was I stood up for myself and finally had a fight. And I had a fight and I defended myself. And it happened for 3 days in a row. It got to the point where as I had enough credits, I didn't have to go back. All I had to go was go and graduate. I instead decided to just go back into the Army full time. Stayed in the Army 7 years and came back home and started my business career. This is where it gets interesting because absolutely the only reason I am here is because of women. Now, women have played a major part in my life. For instance, my mother, she was a very strong woman. She pushed me. She gave me tough love from day one, literally from day one. She gave me tough love. She didn't pull no punches. She kicked me out the house. Before, when I first came home from the Army, she kicked me out the house because I wasn't leading my life the way she wanted me to live it, I should say. I kept messing up. I kept doing drugs. Finally got clean after a few years, and I went back to work. I graduated college, and I went to work at Con Edison in New York City. There was a lady there by the name of Linda Linton. That lady helped shape me. She taught me how to dress and how to groom myself. When I was going as a secretary to the Bronx Public Affairs Director, and her name was Gail McMillan, I was always showing up with a Gumby haircut, 3 chains around my neck, a jacket, and some pants. She taught me how to put on suits. She taught me how to groom myself. She taught me how to shave. She taught me how to keep my hair groomed and neat and clean. I then went forward, and Gail McMillan, she noticed the change in me, and she started to give me some direction. The very next thing I wound up doing, I wound up leaving. And when I left that job to go work for an attorney called C. Vernon Mason. A lot of people know C. Vernon Mason from his case with the Tawana Brawley. I worked for him in his latter years before he stopped being a lawyer. Right after that, I started working for a young lady by the name of Sandra Parks. Now, Sandra Parks, she was a beast. She was a very successful lady. She got her start by following her father and then took her father's knowledge and turned it into a flower business, which in turn turned into an event planning business using flowers. I sat up under this lady for 10 years, and I learned a lot from her. What she did for me, she sent me to school to learn how to talk. Because at one time I was talking so fast, you caught hello. You didn't catch nothing else. You caught hello. She sent me to school to learn how to talk. And when she did that, that showed me that she cared. Why am I telling y'all all this about all these women that helped bring me about? Well, there's one more woman that I have to mention. And it was this happened right after I finished working with Sandra Parks. I had nowhere to go. I was trying to find a job, and this particular young lady, she challenged me. This particular young lady told me, why don't you just go start your own business? You've negotiated $1 million contracts. You know how to market. You know how to advertise. Find something within yourself and do it. And I took the advice and I did. And that was 10 years ago, and that was the start of a company called Wayne Management Company. Through Wayne's Management Company, it started out basically as an online marketing business. And we did well for about 2 years. But this same particular lady also had a career as a performing artist. And she wanted to get back doing that. And me, being that I was with her at the time, I said, well, I'll be your manager. And I started to manage her. While managing her, other artists came through her. And it got to the point where at one point I had an artist roster of over 15 people. And it got to the point where the music was more bigger than the corporate company, Wayne Management Company. So I decided to launch a new company. This company is an independent record label. It's called Black Lion Entertainment Music Group. And from there, at first, I started doing things on my own. I did everything. I did marketing, I did advertising, I did promotions. I was traveling back and forth with artists. I would go to shows with artists. I would make sure artists would get paid. I was there, I was here, but I forgot to take care of me. I was there and I was here, but I forgot to make time for the people around me that helped me get there. And there was this one day that right after I launched Black Lion Entertainment Music Group, I was in my home with my lady. It was her birthday. We were drinking. And I remember going to the bathroom. I remember coming out. I was going to make another drink. I don't remember nothing after that until I woke up on the floor. I woke up on the floor and I had everybody around me, including EMTs. And they was putting me on a stretcher and starting to wheel me out. And the young lady said, I'm going to pray for you, baby. And I said, don't pray for me. And at that time, I didn't realize it, but I was in the midst of spiritual warfare. I got to the hospital and found out that I had cryptococcal meningitis. I had to lay up in there for a while. Well, at one point, they saw that the meningitis was leaving, and they said, we want to do a spinal tap on you just to make sure that the disease is no longer in you. The first one they did, they said, okay, we still got to treat you for another week or so. It was 4 days after that. They stuck another needle in me. And it was on that day that I lost my ability to walk. At that time, I went from a hospital to a nursing home, way out in the boondocks. I was sent out there because I didn't know how to take care of myself. I wanted to give up everything. I did give up everything. I didn't want to fight no more. I didn't want to do no physical therapy. I didn't want to go after the hospital legally. I didn't want to do nothing. And it was one night, maybe around 3 o'clock in the morning, it was his voice. And that voice said to me, do I have your attention now? And that was the very first time that I've audibly heard the voice of God. Nothing loud, nothing thunderous, almost like a whisper. He showed me everything that I did wrong, but he told me that I can make everything right if I follow him. And it was that night I turned my life around and gave it over to him. The very next day I started the progress of getting myself better, getting myself up together. And I fought for my life because I'm laying up in the hospital, found out I had cancer, I cannot walk, and I have meningitis in me. I had no wins at that time, so I thought. This is where God showed up. That same young lady that I told not to pray for me was the only face I seen the entire 7 months that I was in that nursing home. Every single weekend she showed up. Every single weekend She came to put a smile on my face. She came to bring me food from the outside because she knew I couldn't stand that food in the place. She showed up. She stayed by my side. She pushed me. And she continued to let me know that I'm going to overcome this. Well, I wound up coming out of the nursing home and I came home. And yes, she was by my side for a month. She decided that she was going to leave me. And the reason why she was leaving me was twofold. One, because she felt that I no longer appreciated her, that I didn't care. But more importantly, she knew that while she was still around, I would never concentrate on my recovery. So she left me. She left me by myself to be with myself. It gets worse. 9 months later, I was evicted from my home. So now I have no woman. I have no home. I was put into a place called an SRO, single room occupancy, for people like me. They're in a wheelchair that don't have a home but need somewhere to stay. That was my shelter. That room was where everything turned around because God had to get me by myself. In that room, that's all I was, by myself. He protected me. He taught me. He guided me. I praised him every single day until I wound up here. And to this day, that same young lady is still in my life. She is a partner with me with Black Lion Entertainment Music Group because when I came home, I realized I couldn't do things by myself no more. I had to create a staff. So I automatically made her president. A year later, I wound up automatically promoting her to CEO, well, co-CEO with me. I wasn't willing to relinquish that lead. We also added on the president, we added on the chief operating officer, and we've continued to grow. We had ups, we had downs, but we still banded together and held our company together. About a year ago, during a discussion, my CEO, my best friend, she said that she wanted to do something for domestic violence victims. So we just started discussing, we started planning, we started brainstorming. When it came about was Domestic Violence Not Me Foundation. Now, I've come to this point because of the women that I've had in my life. People don't realize just how powerful women are. The Bible talks about how Adam needed a helpmate suitable. And I'm not talking about somebody to help with the plumbing, nobody to help with the cleaning. She was a helpmate suitable to help Adam. That's what this young lady was to me, because she pushed me. Everything I told her, she gave it back to me tenfold. And that's the power of a woman. A power of a woman is to push her mate, to help her mate. If a mate gives her something, she's going to multiply and give it back to her. Now, how I got that information, it was Dr. Miles Monroe. He was doing the teaching up at the Potter's house with T.D. Jakes. And during his teaching, he said, you give a woman food, she will take it, multiply it, and give you a dinner. You give a woman a home, she will take it, multiply it, and she will give you a house. You give a woman sperm, of course, she's going to take it, multiply, and give you children. But at the same time, you give that woman frustration, she's going to take it, multiply it, she's going to give you hell. Women saved my life. There was a woman that pushed me. There was a woman that birthed me. There was a woman that groomed me. Until this day, those women are still in my life, with the exception of my mother, of course. These women are still there to guide me, to help me, to protect me, and to pull my coat when I am wrong. That's what gets me going. And it is because of these women that I am the man I am today. I run 3 companies. I run a nonprofit. Well, I stepped back. I am the managing director of that nonprofit. Everything I've done is because of women. And think about this. I started out as an abuser. I started out as an abuser because I couldn't understand the power of the woman having some hold over me, some control over me. It wasn't control. I just didn't understand, so he was pushing me. I thank God for each and every single woman out here today. And that's why I do what I do to help them. And sometimes I get a chance to help the abuser. God has truly blessed me, and if I don't receive nothing else, I'm satisfied. And that's about it.
Excuse me. Wow, so very super powerful. It's oftentimes where you get to the point where you have nowhere else but to look up. And the takeaway I want people to gravitate and understand is this. At that moment when you are at the lowest of lows, where you don't think that there's any help, this is it. At that moment, you do hear from the source that created you. You do. It's what we do. Do we listen and then take action? Do we just hear and do nothing but wallow in our place of the lowest of the low? And Wayne so eloquently, if you will, in the rawest, most authentic, purest form, shared with you where I know that most people would have given up. See, along that process, he learned, understood in his learning, and then flipped it. So his strategy development of getting to where he is now came from, okay, I'm not going to stay here. I need to leave. There has to be an exodus to the greater part of who I am. Once that was in place, everything else fell in the place and in the order where it's supposed to be. Wayne also, if you heard, there's a whole lot of forgiveness in there as well, because he had to forgive himself for the behavior that he says, realized, acknowledges that he caused his significant other. And then she, in turn, forgave him. So there's forgiveness in there as well. So exiting and leaving, you've got to have a strategy. You've got to have, a plan that's developed. But usually most often, it comes from a place of, I ain't got nowhere else to go. Either I'm going to sit here and die, or I'm going to learn and listen and move forward to my greatness. So in doing all of that, before we end this absolutely awesome interview, I want to thank you. Wayne, I asked all of my guests, what is the one thing, or what are the things that you held on through that entire process? Even from the point of maybe possibly when you told your significant other, don't pray for me. What was the thing from that moment until this very day that you hold on to and will never let go?
Hey, even at that time, and I said, don't pray for me. At that moment when I said it, I knew I messed up. And on the way down the stairs as they're carrying me, I'm asking for forgiveness for saying that. It is that my faith that has held me down. Sometimes I didn't know what was going to happen. I turned it over to God. It was my faith that held me down. I was supposed to have been evicted out of that apartment 9 months before I actually was. It was my faith that held me down, and so did God. It was my faith. That's it. And that's exactly what I hold on to today.
Thank you so super much, Wayne, for just being raw, real. I know that the listening audience, the viewing audience, they're so moved by your story. And I know that there will be someone who will gravitate to it and hold on to your words in order to help get them through their situation. That's what Strategic Exodus podcast is about, is to bring you stories, of people's pain and the actual process of moving, so that you don't have to stay in your situation. You don't. If you are in a violent situation, a domestic violence, intimate partner relationship, please understand that there is help. If you think that you can't get out on your own, there is help. Mm-hmm. I want you to gravitate to somebody and know and understand and trust that if you want help, you can have it. And so if that is you, you call the 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-SAFE. That's the national hotline for domestic violence. You can get help there. But listen, I get it. Calling that number is huge for some people. If you are not able to do that, then I need you to talk to me. I'm willing to listen. I will believe you, because victims just want to know that they are believed. Go to bit.ly/talk with Thea. Schedule some time with me. Let's have a conversation where I will listen. And then let's make a plan in order for you to get to safety. So again, this is Strategic Exodus podcast. I am so super thrilled to be here today. Until next time, see ya.